Good morning, everyone. We're going to call a special meeting of the Board of Supervisors to order. Today is Tuesday, November 15th. It is exactly 10 a.m. We're at the Community Center, Sierra Room at 851 East William Street here in our very own Carson City. Can we have a roll call for the record, please? Thank you, Sue.
Good morning. Supervisor Aboud?
Here.
Supervisor Bonkowski? Supervisor Bagwell? Here. Supervisor Shirk? Here. Mayor Kroll? Here. Have a quorum.
Thank you very much. Would you all please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we're now on item number 4. This is a time for public comment. Anybody want to comment on the canvas issue? Anybody? I don't see anybody, so unless there's objection, we'll move on to the adoption of the agenda. Any changes to the agenda? Mr. Schultz, I know that the city manager had car problems this morning, so you're...
Yes, I'm filling in for him, and there are no changes.
Okay, all right. So unless there's an objection, we will take the agenda as published. Let's move on to the item for the possible canvass of the vote for the 2016 general election. Sue, why don't you take us through this and let us know what's going on here.
Good morning. Sue Merriweather for the record. I'm here today to present the canvass of the November 8th, 2016 general election. The election went overall very well. We had a large turnout, as you could see by the percentages, and I just wanted to put out there and give my thanks to everyone who was involved in the election process, especially my staff, Aubrey, who is here to my left, and Sylvia, Beth, Sandy, Carol, and who did I forget? Jennifer. Also, I wanted to thank all of our election workers who their continued help throughout the elections year after year, their participation. They are just wonderful. They come in and they know their jobs, they know what needs to be done, and we couldn't do it without it. And also the city departments, parks, information technology, maintenance, courthouse security, and the sheriff's office, they all played a major part in the election process, and I really appreciate everyone's help on that. You have before you the statement of the vote and a summary report of the election results. As the abstract shows, we had 25,061 ballots were cast. We were unable to reconcile 11 of the voted ballots between the computer count and the signatures retained. And these errors occurred because when a person signs in, it's like the old paper rosters. Now they're signing in on a signature pad, which is electronic, and that electronic data goes to the card activator to activate the card. For some reason, we had the two pieces of equipment failed to talk to each other and froze, and this only occurred on election day because during early voting, my staff, we were there and we were able to check and verify that the voter signature was captured, and somehow the workers did not check to make sure that that was captured, and so those 11 voters did not get voting credit. This was a common problem back in the days when we used the paper rosters. The person would come in to sign the paper roster and everybody was doing their thing and they'd forget to capture the signature. So it's kind of like based on the same thing. I want to kind of like, but it was a technical error that, hopefully we'll get that all worked out. We were aware of it in the early voting, and election day somehow it slipped through the cracks.
So are they fleeing voters, or is that an error in the machine?
No, this is, we'd failed to capture the actual signatures of the voter. So what my next thing I was going to tell you is we did have 5 fleeing voters during early voting and 4 during election day. What that is, the best explanation for a fleeing voter is the voter comes in, signs the roster, we hand them their card. They either walk out of the polling place and not put their card in the machine, or they put it in the machine and walk out. We found cards in the machines that were not voted. We did catch several people walking out with their card, they didn't vote, and we're able to, on our card activators, verify that it was voted or not. And so we did catch some of the fleeing voters, but the reasoning, I have no idea how to explain why anybody would come in and go through the whole process and then just walk out and not actually cast a ballot.
So how do you get a fleeing voter on an absentee ballot?
There is no fleeing voters on absentee ballots. Early voting.
Early voting, oh, I see what you're
Right,
saying. Okay,
early
I got
voting.
it.
This is on the voting equipment, right. The absentee ballots, they worked really well. We had a lot of I think we broke a record of absentee voters. But my staff kept on top of it. If we received an envelope that wasn't signed, we'd contact the voter and we'd get somebody to get their signature. And they balanced, the absentee board balanced to a T. They did a really, really good job, even though they have to, our old ballot boxes, they have to hand feed each ballot in. So we're hoping when we update our voting equipment, we'll have one that just scans all the ballots in and they won't have to spend days hand feeding. The other item that I wanted to discuss with you is we had two voters that, when the voters come in to vote, they hand the election worker their sample ballot. And, you know, we train our workers to say, oh, is this your sample ballot? And then they are supposed to verify their name and their residence. Well, apparently, two people got slipped through, and the household members had swapped their sample ballots, and they verified the address, but they didn't verify the name, and apparently the signature looked close enough where they thought it was good enough, and they thought it was the voter. So we had two people come in, scanned their sample ballots, voted, and then when the people, those sample ballots, they came in, it already showed that they voted. And so we figured out that somebody else used their sample ballot to vote. So we had to go ahead and manually enter them and allow them to vote. And then that way, all four of them will get voting history. So nobody voted that wasn't supposed to. I mean, it was just a mix-up in signatures and signing in. But it was a mistake that happened. So we've got it documented to make sure that we talk to the election workers and make sure that they make sure that that is that voter and the signatures match. So, but other than that everything worked out really well. The voting equipment overall worked well. We had very minor problems with it, the screens freezing. We had more than usual problems with the cards, the slots that the cards go in, both the card activator and the machines. They were not engaging. We had to mess with them or give them a new card. We had to do a lot of that. And I had talked to some of you about the aging equipment and replacing the voting equipment, and I will be going to the legislature this session and really trying to work with all the other counties to get the state to help fund us some new voting equipment before the 2018 election. The clerks and registrars, Clark County actually decided not to wait, and they went and bought all new voting equipment already. But Joe Gloria, the registrar down there, he's gonna help us with lobbying to help the other counties try and get some funding. But my goal is to replace the voting equipment by 18. We had way too many errors. Clark County had a lot of problems with you could see that the aging equipment starting to, different little things like the printers. We had, the printers gave us a lot of problems this year, and they don't manufacture the parts anymore for this equipment, and our our software on the computers is no longer supported by Microsoft. So we have real concerns that we do the time has come, and we really do need to replace this voting equipment. And the only other thing I wanted to say was the statement of vote will be on the website once the canvas is approved by you. That's it. Any questions?
Questions of Sue? Anybody? Public comment? Anybody want to weigh in? All right. Assistant DA, we okay?
We're good. Sounds like the number that's reflected is the accurate count, so that's what we're
All right.
concerned with.
All right. Any further discussion by the board? Motion's in order.
I move to accept the canvass of the vote for November 8th, 2016 general election as presented by the clerk recorder.
Motion second, discussion. Supervisor Shirk.
Yes, I would like to congratulate Brad, the mayor, and my John, who's sitting in the audience out there. Congratulations on winning the election.
Thank you, Jim, very much. Okay, let's, on the motion, anything further? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Carried unanimous. Thank you. Okay. We're now on item concluding public comment. Anybody? Record will reflect that there is no concluding public comment. Anything further the board wants to take up? Hearing none, unless there's objection, we're adjourned. See everybody Thursday.